Hey YouTubers, Mike Martin's here with the Mike Martin's channel. Thanks for joining me, guys. Okay, I got a better dwelling article open in front of me here. I'm going to leave a link below to the article so you guys could read it. But I'm going to add something to it. The article is really well written, and it talks about the jump in mortgages over 120 days past due. Rises in the fastest pace in years. Now, this is dangerous. We're moving into very dangerous territories. We're not in repossession territory yet, all right? But we're headed towards severe defaults. Now, I've actually had to go back to some old notes when I used to work in finance. And I actually have the percentages here from the rule of thumb that we used to use back in the day, depending on how many days past due an account is, what are the chances of its recovery. So let's take a look at that right now. Okay, so if you have an account that's 30 days past due, the odds of it recovering and getting back on track are 94%. 30 days is not too bad, right? Now, number two, 60 days past due. You have an 87% chance of getting that back on track. 90 days past due, you have a 71% of getting the account up to date and back on track. 120 days past due, you have a 42% to get it back on track and back on, 42%. So it's dropped drastically. Number 5 months. So 150 days past due, it drops to a dangerous 31%. Now, the article is talking about 120 days past due, right? And to get that back on track, 120 days, there's a 42% chance you could get it done, right? And then 150 days is 31%. So in 1 month, we'll be reading the next article where there are homes or 5 months past due, 150 days. Now we're getting into 6 months past due. That's the 190 mark, right? And your chances of getting out of the 190 mark, 190 days past due, is 21%. That is very dangerous, folks. 21% to get yourself out of the 90 days past due. It's like going into a playoff game, best of 7 with 3 games down and winning all 4 in a row to win. The odds, I'm not saying to give up, but the odds are against. Now, this is what the Better Dwelling article is telling us right here, is that Canadian mortgage delinquencies are falling except for people really behind. So people really behind, and this is the percentages. I got this for you guys. I had to make a few phone calls just to confirm that some of the numbers are up to date. And mortgages are overdue if payments have been made on the due date. But it's not always a problem. Sometimes people forget for whatever reason, but usually you have debits your account, right? Then it goes into say basically early delinquencies on Canadian mortgages are down sharply. The number of mortgages in early delinquency is down sharply from last year. Mortgages 60 days, but less than 90 days are down 5.19% basis points. That sounds great, right? But in Q3 compared to last year, there was an uptick in Q2 compared to the past few years. However, that's mostly an anomaly, with it generally trending lower, right? Mortgages over 90 days delinquent drops. More serious delinquencies are a little more choppy, but still down on the quarter. But the rate of mortgages more than 90 days past due, but under 120 days, fell 0.65 basis point from Q3 from last year. This follows the increase of 0.33 basis points in Q2 and shows generally the rising trend in 2019, with Q4 being an exception. Such a sudden swing is most likely to attribute to payment deferrals. Earlier stage delinquencies were generally falling, but more people were carrying over into real delinquencies. Now, what do they mean by real delinquencies? Now, we're seeing a jump in the 120 at 2.39%. There's an up. This is right. Those over 120% days past due are up 2.39%. Remember 120 days, folks? Your odds of getting out of 120 days is 40. You have a 42% recovery rate of surviving 120 days past due from historical, So, so the acceleration has been rising consistently for the past few years. Now, hold up. Well, what do they mean by real delinquencies? Let me tell you what they mean about what they're trying to say about real delinquencies. People were falling delinquent, middle class getting wiped out. People bought on FOMO. People bought at the top. Yes, there's a lot of people falling behind. A lot. Why? Because before this whole COVID thing and deferrals and all this crap, forbearance or whatever you want to call it, people were falling behind before. We were reading articles that people are defaulting on mortgages way before this whole COVID thing. You could check the channel, it's there. Everything. Retail was falling before. Middle class was struggling before. We read an article that in London, England, there is more food banks than there is McDonald's and Subway restaurants put together. Right? People in Australia had to go get a deal with their bank before COVID to allow them to get food from the food bank so they don't fall behind on their mortgage payments. Right? People in Toronto, a shoot up of homeowners and people that own vehicles worth $50,000 or more driving up to food banks to get food. So this was happening before COVID. COVID is just the nice invisible boogeyman that's basically covering this up or putting the blame on so our governments don't take the blame for what's happening. So that's percentage-wise what's happening. And with 120 days going up past due in mortgages, this is going to allow a lot of corporations to come in and start buying up properties that people default on. And this is basically our hijacked economic system we're in. It's been completely hijacked. The middle class has been completely bought out of their markets across the Commonwealth for the last 4 or 5 years. People that jumped on FOMO now are paying the price. And I had a girl email me saying, well, but Mike, the media was telling us that buying real estate was the best investment you could ever make. Now it doesn't look good. And what sector is she in? She's in the condo sector. Condo sector right now is suffering. Why? It's the cheapest sector to jump on. And when people have FOMO, what do they jump on? They jump on the cheapest real estate sector possible. That's condos, followed by townhomes, then detached townhomes, and then detached homes, and then land. So people are basically jumping onto the whole FOMO wagon back the last couple of years, with a lot of real estate agents promoting if you don't buy now, you'll never own anything. And anyone that bought in the condo sector when, in the last 2 years at the top, they're in a lot of trouble right now, and they're having a really, really tough time selling. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Look forward to reading your comments. And recovery. I think things are going to get worse before things get better. And again, 120 days, you have a 42% chance of recovering. And then 150 days, it's a 31% chance of recovering. And then 190 days, when you're 6 months past due, you only have a 21% of recovery. Comment below. Look forward to reading your comments. Love you guys. Stay strong. Open your mind. Be vigilant, right? Because it's your life, not theirs. Comment below. Thanks for watching.